Welcome to Science You Had Me at Hello. Greenlight for Girls presents to you this broadcast series where we ask awe-inspiring role models to tell us that one moment, that spark, that apple falling off the tree epiphany, where they knew that science and their being were inexplicably intertwined. These are stories told live. They're designed to encourage you to think about what inspires you, begin to contemplate your future, and to create some ideas on how you can get there. There are future scientists, engineers, mathematicians, programmers, inventors, curiosity-driven leaders out there, and we believe that you are one of them. We've invited onto the stage amazing speakers. In a moment, they're going to share the spark that inspired them. So, what are we all curious about in today's episode? Let's find out. Science, you had me at hello.
Melissa, you're on mute.
Welcome, everyone. So we're thrilled to have all of you join us for another episode of Science You Had Me at Hello. We're here with our global partner, AIG, and together with all of you, let's dive into the theme of today's show. It's all about connect. Connection in science goes hand in hand, from how circuitry works to linking ideas together. For us as individuals, connection is about how we communicate to one another, how we share ideas and inspire each other, and even how we meet each other, because it helps us to learn and to grow in our career, for example. In all of these, we can use the idea of connection to create a bigger impact. So in a few minutes, you're going to see a STEM experiment from our G4G team with this very idea. So get ready. But first, let's meet some very inspiring role models who use connection every day. So while we bring our speakers to the stage, think about something you're always trying to connect. Tell us in the chat. But first, let's invite to the stage. So I'd like to invite, if you can come onto the stage, let's meet our speaker, Justine Valdez. Justine is a senior security engineer at AIG. Justine designs and performs tests to understand the current risk to the firm. And she's creative and adventurous, and we can't wait to meet her. So welcome, Justine. Let's meet our speaker, Patricia Nincho Momo. She is a cyber threat intelligence analyst at AIG, and how cool is that? At her job, Patricia meets with sources to identify new and emerging threats relevant to the company and analyzes them to understand their potential impact. So welcome, Patricia. So now let's meet Val Vengada Diodon. She is a material polymer scientist who helps develop adhesives at Ashland. Val dedicates her time developing and formulating properties of materials, and she also speaks 3 languages. And let's meet Ava Leggett. She is a policy advisor at the COP26, the UN Climate Change Conference. She's trained in climate change diplomacy training and mental health first aid, and she also speaks 3 languages. And finally, let's bring onto the stage Nishat Aimola. She's a senior researcher at RISE Research Institutes of Sweden, and she specializes in heterogeneous machine learning techniques. She's an optimist and a hard worker. You're in the right spot, Nishat, with G4G. And Nishat takes interest in the application of innovative machine learning models, algorithms, and its future challenges. Oh my God, what a crew that we have today. So thank you, everyone. Welcome to the stage. I'm going to ask you some questions in a moment about what inspired you to get to where you are today. But first, I want to say hello to our studio audience. So we're welcoming you from all around the world. And today we know that some of you are coming from the UK, the US, Belgium, Lithuania, Peru, India, South Korea, and Turkey. But we also have some very special groups who are in a classroom. So a special shout out to Mrs. Jurinko and the 180 fourth grade students who are watching at the Central Columbia Elementary School in Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania. And we also have all of you who are joining us live stream today across 5 platforms. Amazing to see everyone. Thank you so much. Now, for those of you who are in the classroom, I think you may have a worksheet in front of you. So go ahead and get ready to answer questions along the way. And for everyone, get ready for some fun facts on Connect, because it's always time for a quiz. Quizzes are fun. We're gonna show you why in a second. Let me ask that special question to everyone though, because I wanna find out when we talk about where we are today, sometimes there's a spark, a something that happens along our way that says, oh, that's really interesting, gets me where I am. That spark could have happened when you were 3 years old, could have happened yesterday, maybe you're still waiting for it, whatever that might be. Justine, can you go first? Tell us what inspired you to get you where you are today.
Absolutely. And thank you for having me today, Melissa. Super happy, excited to be here. So I think for me, I really thought about this. It's actually been kind of a different accumulation of things. I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up. I still don't know. So I kind of tried a lot of different things, and I was always looking at how do I bring it all together. So I was an athlete. I played the flute. I was at New York Fashion Week and realized that I actually really liked the technology aspect. I was always looking at how to improve processes. So kind of what got to me to where I am today is how do I combine, teamwork, collaboration, process improvement, and automation into one. And that brings me to cybersecurity. Every day is something new and different.
Yeah, I imagine. So you get a chance to bring all of that together with the work that you do.
Exactly.
Which is a fun actually connection of all those things. So which is lovely. So we're already getting to the theme. Fantastic. Thank you so much. Patricia, tell us, what was that one moment when you think that spark that may have gotten you to where you are today? We can't hear you yet. Want to try again?
Yeah. So what inspired me to go, it was actually a TV show when I was about 11 years old. I started watching Criminal Minds. I would stay up really, really late at like midnight to watch it. And there was this one character, Penelope Garcia, and she was their technology analyst. She didn't go into the field like everybody else, but they would call her for absolutely anything related, track this person down, ping their cell phone, whatever the case may be. And, essentially she was fighting the bad guys is what they would call it. And basically that's kind of what I do, right? We like track hackers. So it kind of worked out that way, but that was my inspiration to go into tech. And that's how I ended up pursuing a cybersecurity degree in college.
It's amazing the influence of a TV or entertainment and how it goes to our careers, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And
yeah, go for it.
I still watch the show to this day, 10 years later.
No, and I think that it's a great opportunity. One is we reference in some of our experiments TV shows because people can connect to it, people watch it, and then you think of, that could be something I could do. So that's great to hear. Right. Thank you so much. So Val, you're up. Tell us, what's that one moment of inspiration?
Thank you, Melissa, for having me here. Since kid, I always loved science. So science was my favorite science, chemistry, physics. They were my favorite subject. And when I was kid, I wanted to become a doctor. So I pursued for a doctor and then didn't pass through. Then I decided I wanted to stay in science because science is the world where I wanted to be. And a degree I was doing, it's all about all different science, everything, computing, and we touch everything. And during practicals, we were making my first material, let's say, my first material composite. So we had to mix the resin, pour the resin, and mold it, let it cure. And I was like excited to take that material to see how it's going to behave. And I thought this is what I want to do, to become a material science. And I still have that excitement even today when we make our first product. So see what is behave like. So that's how I went into material science engineering.
I love that path. Also, it's that's the curiosity that brings you from end to end, right? And then also the idea of there's always that possibility to do. So even though you mentioned something that may have been a barrier and may have stopped other people, I want to be here. I'm going to be here. Let me find out how.
Yeah.
Which I love. Thank you so much, Val. So Ava, tell us, what's your spark?
Thanks, Melissa, and it's great to be here. So I'm not actually a scientist by training, but I do work on climate policy and climate change diplomacy. And the way I got here was that I started off studying languages. I just absolutely loved whenever I could go abroad to other countries and try out other languages. And I studied French and Italian at university. And I wanted to be a diplomat because I thought that's a way that I can put these languages to good use. And so I joined the UK civil service with the hope of eventually kind of moving my way into international diplomacy. And I worked in a few different policy areas first to kind of develop my skills. And then there came along this opportunity to work on the COP26 presidency on climate change negotiations. And the reason that I really jumped at it was because a few years earlier, I'd had this little spark when I was doing, I was very, very lucky to do an internship at the UN in New York in 2016. And I was there when the Paris Agreement came into force, and it was a really big moment. And so all these years later in the civil service, I had my, an opportunity to kind of move into diplomacy, but it was on climate change, and that hadn't been something I'd necessarily imagined myself doing. But I knew from that time in New York when the Paris Agreement came in just how important it was. And so I took that opportunity, and I work very closely with lots of scientists, and I do have to engage myself with the science. And I can really see myself kind of forging my career in this direction, but having come from a background in languages. So there you go.
I love it, Ava. And also because the spark, we talk about it can happen at any time, right? Sometimes we're looking for that. What is that thing that's going to say, this is a direction I can go in, or this is something I can dive into, or whatever. And I love hearing that was recent, and it just then starts to make the connection of, but this makes total sense on how I got here. And now I can take it and go forward to the next step. So thank you for that. This is great. We're going to come back to that. I want to ask you also about the climate change work that you do. Nishat, tell us, what's the inspiration that got you here?
Thank you, Melissa. I guess, so I grew up in Bangladesh, in the capital city, Dhaka. And when I was very small, my father had this computer company for selling computers. And that was back in 2000, which was like very new in Bangladesh. And so my job after school was to go there and play video games, and sometimes sneak into the hardware rooms. And when I used to go to the hardware rooms, I used to see a bunch of hardware engineers like assembling parts to make the CPUs. So that really made me interested. And at one point, I was actually in grade 4, but assembling the computers with them. So that was something really made me quite inspired to pursue a career in computer science. And later, when I did my undergrad, I thought, why not go for higher studies? And I ended up with the master's. And then following that, I found my interest to do further research and actually innovate and make new ideas related to cybersecurity using machine learning techniques. And so I finally ended up with a PhD in that field. So I guess, that's my journey and my inspiration in life.
I love hearing that also, that spark from before, but it's funny to think through, to think back, how did I get interested in this? And the idea that you also have the chance to be in a workplace at such a young age and just to see something around you. This is something that we love also to encourage within Greenlight for Girls is, to go, we bring actually some of our events in the office, in different offices, so the same thing can happen. So I love to hear that happened to you. And then you took that forward. So thank you, each of you. It's amazing to hear how inspiration comes in so many different ways and the connections that happen in our lives to get us to where we are today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you a bit more, but before we do, with connections, I think it's time for a little quiz. So for those of you who are with a worksheet in front of you, those of you who are on the screen in front of us, and you're in our studio, you can actually answer this online. those that are live streaming, you can guess, but let's take a look. Question 1. So if you imagine all of us holding our hands and stretching and seeing how long we could go, how long do you think it is of the longest amount of people holding hands across an entire area that are connected for a common cause, meaning something that they believe in? So how many do you think that is? Is it A, 500,000 people, which was 105 kilometers long, 1 million people, 3 million people, or 5 million people for over 1,000 kilometers long? So see if you can answer, and it goes for all of our speakers too. You can see if you want to answer, see where you can guess. And we'll do is we'll see our answers in a moment. For those of you who have your worksheet, you can write it down, A, B, C, or D. Let's see, what do we think it is? Aha. So it looks like the majority have gone for 1 million people. So, guess what? The answer is what no one chose, 5 million people. So can you imagine 5 million people over 1,000 kilometers long standing together? So talk about connection. I think that's pretty amazing. So with connection, we look at that in so many different ways. And we're going to see, again, an experiment in a moment. But before, I think everyone's brought an object that connects to the work that they do. And I'd love to see that. So maybe I'm going to start first of all, Eva, if you can mention the object that you have.
Yes, my object is hopefully you can see this, the Paris Agreement, which is on my phone because I didn't want to print it out because I'm trying to save paper. So since working on climate change, with lots of people really passionate about the climate and environment, we become conscious of these kinds of things as well. But the Paris Agreement is just a fundamental basis for everything that I'm working on, and is something that I consult on a very regular basis. So that's my object.
So, and you have it, of course, so it's on your phone, so you actually never are without it, right? So that's because you always take a look. This is great. It's amazing to think through of the things that we need around us, the things we just use inherently in the work that we do. So thank you for that. All right, so Nishat, tell us, what is the object that you have?
Yeah, the object I have is something I'm wearing today. It's my shirt, and it's also the shirt I was wearing during my PhD defense. And I think it has a lot to do with my presentations and confidence. And since I'm in a field of research where we have to have a lot of presentations, talk with project partners, and have these meetings, so I think having something on you which actually boosts your confidence is very important. And I love shirts, and this is one of my most favorite shirt. And yeah, this is my object for today.
Yeah, it reminds us of the things that we just need around us for our confidence, right? And also what we wear, for example, is a big thing, especially when you're standing in front of people, when you're on a broadcast, whatever that might be, things that give us that boost. And that's something we can lean into, because that's good. That's wonderful. It's something that within the G4G team, we were just talking about. It's the reason why we also have lab coats for our events, because it gives us that sense of, I'm in the role now, and I have confidence to take it forward. So it's so much fun. Justine, tell us, what is the object that you have?
Okay, so I have a pen with me. I hope you can see it. Because I always have to have a pen and paper with me at work. Never know when inspiration will hit, or, when I get another idea, writing in the margins of everything. So yeah, I would say that's pretty important for my work, putting it on paper before bringing it to the computer.
We tend to think of technology now as this over-encompassing way of everything, right? And I think the value of being able to communicate in so many different ways and to use what we, tools we just need to have. It's why we need to write. It's why we need to draw. All these different types of things. So it's a great reminder of that. Thank you. Val, tell us, what do you have?
Hey. My object is a bonding assembly, so if you see it, and I thought it's probably related to the topics, because we are trying to connect to PACE as well. So what I develop is what is in the middle. So we have two material, and then we develop the adhesive in between to bond together, to assemble together. So this is my everyday job. Is it about to make sure that we have a good adhesive to bond together? So that's my object.
Great. All right, good. And Patricia, tell us, what is your object?
Yeah, so my object is a Raspberry Pi. I'll just pop it open. It is a mini computer, and this is special to me because I used one of these when I was in college to create a device, and it was very special and a proud moment for me. So once I graduated, I was like, you know, I'm going to get another one myself because I wasn't able to keep the other one because it belonged to the school at that point. But I bought one for myself so I could do at-home projects that relate to like cybersecurity and just tech in general. So yeah, I use this all the time just to practice or just to learn new things and some different skills.
Oh, I love it. We have one experiment we do with a G4G as well with Raspberry Pi. And I think, is there someone else who also has Raspberry Pi at home?
Yeah, me.
Oh, yeah, tell us where.
So the one I have, I stole it from my lab. But I think I had the right to, because I worked a very long time with it for, these small Raspberry Pis can be used as on-device AI solutions. So a part of my PhD was developing on-device intrusion detection systems, for which I really needed the Raspberry Pis. And so I had it, and professor didn't have a problem with me carrying it all the way from Korea to Sweden. So yeah, I still have it, and I have created a nice box for it, and I just keep it safe over there. Yeah, sometimes look at it and have a nice, memory check. Yeah.
This is great. I love things that actually connect us together. It's like something that's like, oh, that object, I know that object. And then immediately you have the same reference, which is amazing. I'm going to ask more about the word connection and how it might be related to the work that you do. But first, there's another poll question. So I think we need another quiz. Let's see if we can get this one. All right, so let's see. All right. So, oh, look, another connection one. So what is the longest broadband wireless connection ever shot between two mountains? So for those on your worksheet, you can put A, B, C, D. A is 80 kilometers, 155 kilometers, 382 kilometers, or 500 kilometers. So see if you can guess which one. Everyone go ahead. We're online. Let's see what's the answer. The majority said 382 kilometers, and guess what? You are right. So that is the correct answer. So 382 kilometers, which is pretty amazing. And I think about also how we just depend on connection nowadays when it comes to also wireless connection and so forth, especially during this past couple of years. And we also note when we don't have it in different parts of the world who don't have it, and how that's affected everything, even basic needs like education. So something that we talk about a lot at G4G. So I'm curious about this word connect or connection, because we can look at it in so many angles. A quick couple questions, and then we're going to queue up a video in just a moment of an experiment. First, Val, for you, when you think of the word connect, what comes to mind?
It's so when we say connect, we all think about connecting people, but I want to say that connecting, we need to connect through our ideas as well, our thoughts, because on the laboratory environment, we all share objectives. So we work as a team. So everybody brings their idea and then have one goal. And sometimes we have different chemistry for adhesives. So we sometimes think, why not blend the two chemistry to have something new? So connecting ideas, it's important as well.
It's where innovation happens, right?
Yes, exactly.
Exactly, because I think it doesn't just appear, and it just passes by our desk. Yeah. It's because someone has thought through and listened and connected different things together to create something new. Oh, love it. Patricia, for you, what would you say for the word connection? How is it related to you, your work, anything at all?
Yeah, connecting to me, or the word connect, has to do with collaboration. My team works with a lot of different teams at AIG, so we always have to meet together weekly. We have meetings. AIG is really big on meetings. And so my team being able to collect data, analyze the data, and putting together the bigger picture for it to make sense to then pass it on to those different teams. But in order to do that, we have to get together all the time to lay down our ideas, the requirements, and what needs to be, what needs to be done in order for our team to help them. So just getting together and collaborating and sharing ideas, and yeah, that's basically what connecting means to me.
Yeah, for me, that's also what makes work fun, or one of the things that makes work fun, right? So it's the idea of, it would be lovely if each of us individually just had all the answers, right? Which is not going to be the case. So the best part of the work that we do is trying to figure out, just as you said, Patricia, which is to collaborate with others and see how building the ideas together connects to what we need to do with one another. And that's part of also the skill set that we need to, as STEM leaders in any field in any way. Part of it is actually how we can collaborate with others and get the best out of everyone around us. So thank you, Patricia. This is fantastic. Ava, how about for you? Connection, connect.
Yeah, for me, it's about kind of understanding different perspectives, and understanding other people's points of view. So I think learning languages for me was really about that too, because actually when you get to know a language, you learn a lot about another culture and about other people, and then obviously you're able to connect with people from different countries. But then in my work, so in international negotiations, in my case on climate, we might have a shared goal or a shared challenge that we need to address, which is climate change, and obviously that affects everyone. But it's still really important that we, understand different perspectives of other countries, because we're all from different geographies. The impacts are felt differently. Political priorities are different. Everyone's experience of climate change is actually different. So in order to get all of the countries of the world around the table to agree to something, you can't do that if you're just going to go in and be closed off to other people's perspectives. So listening and understanding other points of view is connection for me.
Your work is fascinating. The word, the concept of the climate, or the situation we have with climate change, is something that we're engaging, especially the young adventurers, as we call them, of all ages. Is something we're all involved with, all need to be involved with. So we have a lot of fun bringing this to the forefront in our G4G lab and in our experiments and so forth. So it's amazing to hear the work that you do, and I love the idea of, in order to do that well, you have to be able to understand and connect to everyone around you. So this is fantastic. Thank you. Justine, how about for you? Connection.
So I think everyone here has hit on a lot of really great points with, innovation, collaboration, and understanding perspectives. I think probably a big thing for us is really understanding what motivates the other teams that we're working with and what their goals are, and how we can each meet our own objectives and then bring that together as a group to kind of meet the bigger picture. So, relationship building is a key part of that. And then also, finding a solution that works not only in the short term, but also in the long term to continue, that sustainability in moving forward.
It's fantastic. Yes, especially for the connection. We want the longest human chain, for example. We want that actually for all of our ideas and all of the things that we do and our work to have legacy, to have something that builds from it and then gets to new ideas, which we need for big things in our world, like climate change and everything else. Nishant, tell us.
I guess when I think of connect these days, a lot of the things that come to my mind is connected devices. We are getting so much connected recently. Like, you have your handheld devices connecting to your TV, your vehicle, and you have all these Internet of Things technologies. You have cyber physical systems, which is so much connected, and that means like there is also a lot of concern in terms of cybersecurity, because you're also sharing data. So that's something we are actually working on a project at this moment. And there is a lot of talk about connected vehicles, connected cars, and all these things. And that really makes us think about how we will, address these challenges in the future in terms of research and what we can do about that. But that's very technical stuff. But I think when I think of my life as a professional in this doing research, I have seen that when I have colleagues with whom I really connect well, and we have the same kind of mentality and probably at least the similar kind of understanding, then you can create a group which can give you so much more. And I think for that, actually making those connections are very important, and it really helps you to make really innovative ideas. And so I think that's something, I think, in terms of, having a group of connected people, and also something we have to consider is connected devices these days.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're depending on this, right? So
of course.
Yes. I mean, and also it's hard to disconnect, which is a whole nother, right? No, this is great. Thank you so much. So let's think about the connection side, and maybe let's take a look at it even in another way of how this can take big ideas and take them forward and grow. So with that, I'm going to ask the G4G team to tell us what's been going on in the atelier lately, because they're always cooking up something new. So let's hear about connection. So this is great. This is something that also, to take a look at different experiments with connection. The team put this together, and it was fun also hearing the collaboration, because it became with some what if we connected something all across the office and saw that we could put lights on, and then all of this suddenly happened where the team put this together. So brilliantly done. And again, another way of looking connection in so many different ways. And we show these videos because this is something that you can do at home, in the office, wherever you might want to do that, especially involving your colleagues. I think that'd be quite fun. So this is something that's good. So we have a few minutes left of our broadcast, and this is another favorite moment. We get a chance to bring forward one of our ambassadors. So we have ambassadors who are adventurers, who are around the world, and we have Flor here from Peru. So Flor, who is a cheerful bioengineering student who wants to improve the world. So I think that she could work with any one of us. Flor, it's lovely to have you here. So please, you are now on the stage with all of us. Do you have a question for some of our speakers?
Yes, I'm nervous. Okay. Hi. I'm g4g ambassador. My name is Flor, and yes, as Melissa said, I'm from Peru. Today I want to tell you a little bit of my country. Here, the women in STEM, like introduce women in science and mathematics, is gradually being promoted by the government. Also, there are some organizations that promote female empowerment, and that's so great. And also, there are a scholarship that is only for women and who want to study a science career, a mathematics career, technology, and this is wonderful. So I'm curious about the conditions for women in STEM in your communities and countries. What barriers or opportunities do you see? Thank you.
That's a great question. So barriers and opportunities that you see in the communities that you are part of, have been part of, when it comes to women in STEM. Nishat, I'm going to start with you.
Yeah, I think this is a very interesting question. In Bangladesh, I think when I was studying computer science, I didn't have a lot of female friends also studying computer science in Bangladesh, and the situation is improving, but yeah, we need a lot of improvement in terms of inspiring more women to participate in studying in STEM. Especially also in computer science, because it's always sometimes like guys are like, okay, computer science, hardware, these are not for you. You just, you are better as a doctor, or at least they do that in computer science. And I had a friend who used to kind of bully me to some extent, like, asking me difficult question to, try to show that, you are not capable of pursuing a career in this field. And I proved him wrong. I became a PhD in computer science. So yeah, it happens. It's not to prove him wrong, but to prove this idea wrong, that it's not only for men. And again, when I went to Korea, I was studying in a women's university, but sometimes I had to do courses in Yonsei University. And I was the only female in the class out of a class of 40 students. So that was quite intimidating. But I always say that don't get intimidated by these people, and have faith on yourself, and you can achieve whatever you want.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you, Nishat. Patricia, how about you? Do you have any guidance for Flor with her question?
Yeah, just basically, Nishat covered everything I wanted to say, but, I experienced the same thing as far as being, like, in my technology classes in college. There was only 4 girls in the entire cybersecurity program, and currently on my team, I'm one of 2 girls on my team. So we do need more women in the STEM space. So I think, just continuing to to push through the barrier. Don't be intimidated at all, and just, find that community and support system to be motivated, because there are people out there, and you'll definitely be able to find what you want to do. You kind of just have to do the research and see what's out there, but there's definitely space for everyone, and a lot of different things that you can do that can also work with whatever your passion may be.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you so much, Patricia. We're going to ask Flora, I know you have a second question, and then I'm going to ask some of our other speakers the second question. So Flora, what do you have for the second?
Okay. Many women, especially in STEM, experience stereotypes or pressure to conform to the traditional gender norms. Like if you're a woman, you have to do the housework, you have to cook, take care of your family, only do that. And also, why do you think this is still the case? And what is your advice to overcome it and see the future in a new light?
Oh, this is a great question. Thank you. Val, do you have something that comes to mind that can help forward this?
This is a good question. Just have it's what society think, but we are moving forward, and things are changing, and you can see things are changing from the past, where there was less women in the industry world, and now we are more coming inside, and this is going to grow, and you just have to push yourself. And as many people say, I'm the only woman in my lab, and there are only men, the others. But you can balance work and personal life. It's not, you can balance well. Men today, they understand that you have a professional life, and you have a personal life too. So it's just have a dream, and you can achieve your dream. You have to push for it. So it's coming, and it will slowly change, and it is slowly changing as well.
This is great. Ava, how about you? Do you have any guidance?
Yeah, this is a great question. So I would say that it's really important to just keep on talking about things with people around you, including with men. So, to kind of, in order to, as you say, kind of question or challenge stereotypes or the status quo, I think it's really important to kind of keep on the conversation, basically, and also to try and avoid self-limitation. So just to give an example, I think I've been very lucky, and I haven't had a lot of barriers to do what I want to do. But I realized a few years ago that I was thinking, okay, so in a few years' time, I want to have children, and therefore I'm going to have to take a break from my career, and therefore I need to get to a certain point before I do that. And I'm kind of already in advance planning like how I'm going to incorporate children into my career. And I think I was starting to limit myself, thinking, oh, okay, so well, I can't do that because I won't have completed that in time, or I started to limit myself. And I realized that none of my male friends were thinking in that way at all. They're not thinking in advance, oh, I shouldn't take this pathway, I shouldn't do this thing, I shouldn't train to be this type of professional, because in a few years' time I'll have to take a break from my kids. They don't limit themselves in that way. So I would say, to just kind of be mindful of not limiting yourself because you're already thinking about the things you might want to balance, and also keep that conversation open with the other men and women around you about, hang on, can we challenge the idea that it's going to be me changing my career for the children? Could that be my partner? Or, can we challenge the idea that women need to take on these particular roles at work and in the home? Can we kind of shake things up a bit? So those are my 2 bits of advice, is just kind of talk to people, keep talking about things, and try to not to limit yourself.
Fantastic. Justine, how about you with either of the questions that Flora mentioned?
Yeah, I think the big thing to remember, and I think that all of us need this reminder once in a while, it's okay to change your mind. You may think you want to go down one path, but you can pivot. the world will not end, at least it shouldn't, if you change your mind and go in a different direction. And, if you want, kind of what Val touched on, if you want to have that personal life and that work life, there is a balance and a way to do it. I think in terms of barriers, probably one thing that I dealt with was personally at work, there was a role that I really wanted to get into, and I actually kept pushing at my company to create it for me. And I was like, this is what I want to do. What are we doing? And I had to keep pushing for it. I didn't have anyone else advocating for me at the time, just because I looked around and was like, okay, there's no one here right now. So I am going to push for it and establish myself as that person. So when the next person comes in, they'll have someone to look at like me, and then I can help guide them through it. So it's kind of creating that, again, long-term, setting the foundation for the next person to come in and have those opportunities, and maybe one less barrier for them next time.
Fantastic advice. And thank you, Flor, for these questions. They're so important. And even from the starting point of what each of you mentioned, but the important part is asking and talking about this, right? So keeping an open conversation, because this is where we make change together. So Flor, thank you so much for traveling to get to here with all of us. And we look forward to the next opportunity. And thank you also for being such an important part of G4G and being an ambassador. And we love having you part of everything we do. So thanks.
Thank you for.
All right, so one last thing with everyone, and we're closing up today for our broadcast, but we want to always end with those last words of advice, the last opportunity to say a wish for the world. You can overall, something that we've talked about, if that has inspired you. Also, if it links to connection, you can do that too, whatever that might be. So Justine, I'm going to turn to you. What's your advice for those that are out there for next steps in their career or anything else?
I think my advice would be, to ask questions. Don't be afraid to, if something's worked really well for the past few years and there's a, process, and you have an idea to make it better or change it, don't be afraid to speak up, share that idea and see what happens. 10 doors might close, but that one door that opens would be great. And then I think the other big thing is to also encourage those around you. I would probably say is the biggest thing. Support your colleagues, support your peers, support those above you, and really make it a positive environment.
Fantastic. Thank you. Nishat, how about you? Advice to others?
Yeah, I think what I want to add is that always try to treat yourself well, take care of yourself. And when you treat yourself well, you get the treatment back. So you have to, have faith on yourself and believe in your capabilities, and your have faith that you can do stuff, and don't let others treat you bad by not treating yourself bad at first. So take care of yourself. I think that's my advice for, yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you. Eva, how about you?
Gosh, these are already amazing suggestions. So I really support everything that's already been said. I think particularly the one about asking questions, because I think that's also a key part of forging connections with other people and understanding their perspectives, is to actually ask, ask about them, ask about their perspective, their idea, what their position is on something, what they're finding difficult, and then you can create those relationships. So I think, and that will open your mind up. So I'd say keep asking questions.
Great advice. Val, how about you?
I would just say, don't be afraid of failure. Just do what you want to do. There's always, you can be somewhere where you want to be. So you have to try it. So try for what you want, and you will achieve it.
Fantastic. And Patricia, tell us.
My advice would definitely don't be afraid to try new things. It's through experience that we find things that we're either good at or not good at, and that's the only way, you'll find your path. And yeah, just don't be afraid. Be the change you want to see, basically.
Oh, I love that quote. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. It's wonderful we need these inspiring words, right? We need to hear them because we're sharing them with others, but we also need to hear them for ourselves, even the ones that we inherently know, right? We need to be reminded of it. So this is also a great opportunity to do this. You've all been fabulous. This is part of our Science You Had Me at Hello. It's wonderful to have you here. That theme of connect and being here, thanks to our great partner, AIG, and all the things we heard about with connection, from everything related to STEM, but then also our life around us and our work around us. So thank you, everyone. We're going to do a final goodbye to everyone. So we can wave goodbye. And so we'll see you at the next Science You Had Me at Hello. So bye, everyone.
Bye, guys. Thank you.